You can't get God until you know and learn to perceive. You can't get God until you know what? Even when you are praying alone, don't just concentrate on your prayer. Learn to perceive when His presence is available around you. Now, when the presence of God is available during prayer, you know what you do? Stop complaining, stop praying, spend time in meditation. When you are meditating, your heart will be communicating with His presence. Because when His presence, the presence of God is available, God don't need your words, He needs your heart at time. If your heart is not open, no matter what comes out of your mouth, it's just nothing but a wasting of time. So when you are in God's presence, anytime you perceive His presence, let your heart be open. Communicate with God with your heart that time. That is when you get things done without stress. You see things manifesting your life without you labor much. Because it takes His presence to change some difficult situation. There are some forces around you that cannot go until you perceive His presence. But remember, the presence of God will make no difference in your life until you perceive it. Despite His presence is available, despite the presence of God is everywhere, it can't make any difference in your life until you sense it. When Moses says that the presence of God is no longer with them, he cried, Lord, if you don't go with us, we will not go. I think He has power. I think He has authority. I think He has mantle. A man that divided the sea. Are we together? A man that saw God, that heard the voice of God, and is still telling God, we need your presence. If your presence don't go with us, we will not go. Despite God said go, He know the difference between the voice of God and the presence of God. The voice of God, you need interpretation. But His presence, He is the voice, He is the interpretation. He is the beginning. I don't know. When His presence in your life, everything becomes easy. That is when answer to your prayer will be released. You don't need much prayer. You know what you want. He said, I know the thought that I think towards you. The thought of good, not of evil. And to give you what? That expected end can only be given to you when you are in His presence. So the presence of God is needed. One of our major problems as a Christian, we don't know how to perceive. I can be in my room from morning till 4 a.m. I know they sleep, I know they pray. Sometimes, what I do, I meditate. I want to hear His presence. Can I tell you something? You don't hear the voice of God when you are praying. You hear His voice when you meditate. The voice of God echo in His presence. Because when you are praying, sometimes you'll be too occupied to perceive when His presence is around you. When God speaks, sometimes when you are praying in the night, if you are not program yourself, you will not know where God is talking to you. Because what? As you are praying, many prayer points will be coming. As you are praying, a lot of things will be coming to your mind to praise about. But when you pray as you begin to meditate, when His presence shows up, reduce your prayer. Spend time in meditation when you are in His presence. That time, that is where you will get the realities of God in your life. You begin to see His word manifesting in your spirit. When the presence of God is around you, sometimes you don't need to hear God sings. Your spirit will bear witness. Your spirit will pick something from that atmosphere. You begin to see yourself saying something according to the wills of God. You see yourself say something, that thing that is in the mind of God will be transferred to your spirit. That is what His presence does. Because when you encounter His presence, your life can never remain the same. You know why? Darkness has no voice in His presence. Your challenges has no voice in His presence. When arrows have been programmed around you, the forces of darkness are around you, the limitations are around you, all these invisible agents are around you, immediately the presence shows up, they disappear. So the devil cannot talk when the presence of God is fully present around you. So whenever the worship takes place, whenever people are praying in church and you perceive his presence, forget about your problem. Don't think about your challenges. Don't look at yourself as somebody who has issue anymore. Pay attention that time. Let your spirit be alive, because you are the only one that can make your spirit alive. Prayer don't make your spirit alive. You are the one that will make it alive, because he has given you the power, the authority. I learned so many things many years ago. Many of you don't understand. I learned so many things. I began to understand. I began to understand that men are not my problem. My families are not my problem. I don't see the witches or wizards as my problem. I see myself as a problem to myself. You don't understand? Now, it means that if I see a man as my problem, what I want to do, I'll go fight the man. You don't understand? If I see him as my problem, what I want to do, I'll go fight him. If I see a woman as my problem, what will happen? I go keep malice or I fight. But if I see myself as a problem, I need to deal with myself. Dealing with yourself is dealing with the devil. Because the devil, his number one agenda is to take hold of your flesh, using your flesh to control your spirit. So when you know how to deal with yourself, you'll be able to deal with the devil. So there is no way you can overcome Satan if you have not overcome your flesh. So time came, I began to understand this thing, that I don't need to see anybody as my problem. I deal with myself. And I began to get the results. So anytime you are in God's presence, let your heart be open. Many of you don't even know why you are here. Do you know why you are here? Sometimes we see the house of God as just a late gathering where people just gather to say one thing another. We don't see the spiritual behind this thing called fellowship. We don't see the secret behind these things. We don't see the misery behind these things. We just see it as just a big gathering. That is why we are missing it. The witches know the importance of COVID. The marine know the importance of the sea. Are we together now? The authors know the importance of the middles of the night. But the Christian don't know the importance of the gatherings of the brethren. When we gather together, heaven gathered. When his presence drops, there's a step that you need to take at that moment. It is presence that will release that awaiting testimony, that long expectation into your hands. You are going to stretch forth your hand this morning. Father, my answer, release it into my hands. I hope for my heart, I hope for my spirit.